Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raykel Tosin, and I keep forgetting that I changed the name, people. It's Blessed Mindset Matters Podcast. That's what it is, because you guys know that I am a firm believer that being blessed is not about what you have or who you have. It's about your mindset, and you have to make a daily decision to be blessed. All right, so we are on WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network, where we have a mission to empower, encourage, and educate. And I hope you feel like you are being encouraged by the Blessed Podcast, the Blessed Mindset Matters Podcast. And I need you to go to www.wytv7.org and hit that donate button. We are a nonprofit organization, so we need donations, and you will get a write-off when you donate, and you help not only with the podcast, the Blessed Money Mindset Matters podcast, but you also help with we give away money for students who need, that are in school for scholarships. We help feed the firemen. We help feed families. So you are donating to a worthy cause. So please go to www.wytv7.org and hit the donate button. Now, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So many of you know that this spring that my nephew committed suicide. So this is a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. So I want to make sure that every September I donate at least one show to talk about this. And I have with me Leslie Pogue. Am I saying it right?
It's Pogue. It's like Vogue only with a P.
Yes. Okay. Leslie Pogue here to help me discuss suicide prevention awareness. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Leslie. She calls herself the Chief Happy Officer, and I love that. Y'all know I'm all about happy, because really what blessed is happy. That's what blessed is, right?
It's happy.
Right.
Yeah.
She's an author and an award-winning speaker. Her books are 28 Days Happy and the Positive Side of the Bad Stuff. I love that, the positive side of the bad stuff. I'm going to get that book and read that. And we're going to have to come back and talk about that again.
Absolutely.
So, Leslie, you have a whole lot of stuff about you. You tell us the importance, the stuff that you want us to know right now about you, and then we're going to get right into suicide prevention.
I love it. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I am the Chief Happy Officer of LP Speak. People know me as Happy Chick. There's all of that going on. Happy for me is an acronym. It's hear your truth, acknowledge your feelings, give yourself permission to feel better, purge the past, and yield to your new life. And so if you go to my website at www.thehabitofhappy.com, you can get more on that and a breakdown. I have some programs that are coming out and all of that. But yeah, happy, this is important to me as well. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And so I'm functioning in the world, just making things happen. So let it be a lesson to everybody out there who has a mental illness, as well as people who work with mental wellness, that just because you've been diagnosed with a mental illness, don't let that, it doesn't have to stop you, basically.
I love it.
So exactly. And suicide is huge because, and I'll get into that as we talk, but I know with the pandemic, it definitely impacted me as well in a way that never did before as well. So as it relates to me and LP Speak, I'm always here. I'm happy to talk to people that are dealing with depression and things like that. So this is very near and dear to me as well. I'm going to lead that into actually the company that's actually offering the topic and the subject that we're going to talk about that kind of prompted this, and that is LEAD. And LEAD is LEAD, which stands for Let's Empower and Do, Inc. And they are a nonprofit that talks about mental wellness on all levels, definitely with people who deal with the youth and all of that. So it's a wonderful organization. Their Facebook is leadnowinc.com. And I'll double check that by the end of the show. So I'm going to double check that. I'm going to make sure, because I want you guys to find them. I am doing some voiceover work for them. They're an amazing organization. I'm so glad I found them and that I'm working with them. So, and they have so much to offer. So all of that, there you go.
Awesome, awesome. So you know what? Before we even get into the suicide prevention, you stated that you are bipolar, or been diagnosed with bipolar. Because I don't like
Yes,
to say that you deal with bipolar. I don't
exactly.
consider that you're bipolar, and that's
Right.
like really key. No,
It
because
is
it's like when
key.
people say I'm
Yes.
diabetic. No, you're not diabetic.
No.
You may be dealing with diabetes, but you're not
Exactly.
diabetic. You are not your diagnosis. So that let
Exactly.
me I had to correct myself, and I think it's really important because sometimes we don't want to be labeled. So we won't go and get diagnosed because we don't want to be labeled.
Exactly.
And I personally think that there are a lot of people that deal with bipolar, and I think it's probably a lot more common than people really think. And so here's a way, and you let me know if this sounds rings true for you.
Of course.
Somebody that's dealing with bipolar is probably one of the most feeling, caring, sensitive people you will ever meet. So when it's good, oh my goodness, it's a party, it's a party, it's a party. But when it's bad, it's the end of the world.
It really is. Yeah.
Bipolar people that deal with bipolar, they're not here.
No.
So they're like, you're like great friends because you will celebrate with me
Oh,
and you will be down. I mean, and you when I'm
always.
down, you gonna be down with me. You
Always.
so it's resonating. So when I think about people that deal with bipolar, there's no shame in it because really it's just you are really feeling people. You unlike people who don't like have feelings at all. It's like you have friends and you tell them something good
Right.
about you and they just be like, "Oh, that's nice."
Right.
Oh, I can't stand people like
I
that.
know it makes you crazy, but yeah, for me it's like, whoa, well, tell me all about that. What's going on? How did it happen? Blah, blah, blah. Let me get it excited for you. Yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm sad, I don't need you to be like,
Yes,
"Oh, I'm sorry." No, I need you to cry with me. I want you to cry
yes,
with me. Now, I say that because, but I'm not that person. I will get happy and I will be sad, but you won't see like great emotions. I'm not feeling it the way that you're feeling it, but I
right.
am empathetic. But a person that deals with bipolar, it feels
Yeah,
they feel it. They're not
yeah,
just empathetic; they feel it. So
it's
is
true.
that
I
correct?
feel everything. I mean, even in TV shows, commercial, all of that. I mean, it doesn't matter if I know you or don't know you. If I hear the story of you, it sometimes it just rests on my heart differently, and I even have to do some self care depending upon what it is and how dramatic it is, especially lately with the pandemic and so many things have been going on between the illness, the crime, there's just so many things going on. So yeah, there's a lot of self care that has had to happen. And I mean, since we're talking about that, I'll throw it in there. Last year, my job went remote, like a lot of jobs did. And as much as I love staying home, and I plan on staying home as long as they'll let me, but it was an adjustment. And I won't go into what's going on with my job, but needless to say, it was very stressful. And so I found myself needing to call the suicide hotline for the first time. I mean, I've been dealing with. I was initially diagnosed with anxiety, panic disorder, with depression, and so that's what I thought I had for most of my adult life. I was recently confirmed because I've always suspected bipolar, but finally it was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's the one. So, but last year I was at I had a day where I just started crying just for no reason, and I was just bawling, crying, and um and all I could say is I need help. That's like all I could muster to say. And so I called the suicide hotline, and they called the police to come and escort me to an urgent care mental wellness facility, which I didn't even know there was such a thing as urgent care for mental health. I had no idea. So, and there was one even close by me. So, and we'll talk about the suicide prevention hotline, but I mean, they really are there to help, and they will help you because truly, in all my years of managing my illness, I've never been at a place where I was afraid to be alone. I truly did not know what I was capable of in that moment. So I really needed help, and it needed to be help not from a family member or friends because they don't know what to do. And that's a whole other class and talk and all of that. And But yeah, they want to help you. They want to be there for you. But like when I share with my mom, she tries to soothe me as if my dog is sick or something. Like it's not, it's deeper than that, you know? So for people who are managing that and they don't, you know, they're like, why can't people understand that is how you feel? People, because they want to understand and they want to help you. They're not equipped. They just don't have the tools.
Yes, we're gonna start right now. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 800-273 TALK, TALK.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to make sure we get that there, and we'll do it
Yes.
again, and we'll put it at the bottom. But it's important.
So important.
And girl, you said so much. We probably don't have to do that. We might have to do another segment because one of the things, when people talk about, like, say, the defund the police, because sometimes police come out and they make it worse.
It's true.
So it really is, it's really helpful when police departments know that they can go and get a person and take them, and it's an easy thing because you were ready for help. Sometimes the person that's going through a break or whatever, they're not the ones that called. It's loved ones, family members calling, and then the police come out and those people aren't ready to go anywhere.
Correct.
Because and if it's a true psychotic break, there's a paranoia.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
having police come, it makes you even more paranoid, like somebody's trying to get you, trying to hurt you, and seeing the police does not make you feel safe when you're ready to go with them. It makes you more agitated. So
Exactly.
it's very important that the police officers, when people call and say this is it's a mental emergency, nobody is in harm way, or
Right.
it's a mental thing, please send people who are sensitive and understand what's going on. And then as
Exactly.
the person that had to call on your loved one, because you don't know what to do,
Exactly.
you have to
Yeah.
just kind of stay there and make sure it's a mental, it's not, nobody's in danger, they're not going to hurt anybody. And it's so,
Exactly.
I be when people say defund the police, and I'm just putting this out there, it's
No,
not
I'm
to
with
say we don't need police. It's just saying maybe we need to use some
no.
funds, reallocate, but maybe it should be
Exactly.
more, reallocate some of the
Yes.
funds for mental health, because we have
Yes.
a mental health crisis. We have the opioid crisis, and all of these people need professionals to come and help them, not people that
Exactly.
are ready to take them down. And.
Exactly. And I agree with you
So
there. I mean, right. No, I co-sign that 100% because yes, it's not about defunding the police. It's about allocating those funds to educate them on in areas other than defense, other than serve and protect. They
right,
need to learn just like our family members need to learn.
yes,
They might not know, and it might not be, or they may have learned it to some degree, but not to, I mean, when you're a police officer, you're out there risking your life too. So, I mean, we get that to that degree. But there's a flip side to that too, because serve and protect means more than just, take down the bad guy. Sometimes it means to serve your community and just help them, take care of them, hold their hand through something. And I feel like as we've grown as a nation, as a community, all over the place, we've kind of lost that. I don't know. We'll take race and all that out of it, out of the 1950s and 60s kind of caring that we were taught that the police are there for. I'd love to see that come back more. But yeah, I mean, we used to feel, all of us, I think anyway, I'll speak for myself. I used to always feel comfortable calling the police, although I've never had to. This was my very first time, which did, to your point, made me a little nervous too, also because of what's been going on in the world. But I was taught that if you're in trouble, call a policeman. And that has always been something I thought we could do. And I'd love it if we can get back to that.
yes, for sure. Look, let's get into the prevalence of suicidal thoughts in adults and suicide in adults, because a lot of times we only hear about when the act has actually been completed.
Yes.
But suicidal thoughts, we have to kind of catch it when it's a thought and not put into an action plan. And I'm going to be transparent. I actually wrote a book. My very first book that was published was called Just a Little Talk with Jesus,
Oh,
How He
nice.
Helped Me with Depression, with depression. So I had suicidal thoughts. I had thoughts of committing. So I had figured out what I was going to do because I didn't want to hurt myself. But I was like, the beach is my happy place. I was like, why not go into just walk into the water and just keep on walking, you know? So
Yeah.
I did have that thought. That was the only time that I had that thought. But it was still huge because I
Yeah.
actually thought about what I was going to do. So what happened for me is I had a 2-year-old son. And so I
Mhm.
was like, well, let me do something really fun with him so maybe he can remember his mom in this moment and not necessarily, So I took him to Disney World because we lived in Orlando. And it's the happiest place. He loved it. And I knew that that would be a great, even though when you, hindsight, 2-year-olds don't remember what happened when it was. I wasn't really thinking right, but it was awesome because I took him to Disney World, and at the time they had they always had the parades, but they had a marching band from a high school marching band who and my son, because I went to Florida A&M University, so the
Okay.
home of the Marching 100, the best band in the world. So my son was used to seeing them, so he used to always, pretend like he was in a band and he was a drum major. My mom made him a little cape, and so when this band came, he was like, oh, he was just dancing and doing his little band thing. And one of the workers saw him, and they pulled him out to the middle of the parade behind the band, and this little kid was not afraid of the crowd.
Wow.
He was dancing and doing his stuff to the thing, and I was like, wow, this kid is
Wow.
amazing. And do you know, at that moment I was like, I cannot leave. I want to see what he is going to do. He is going to do some awesome stuff in his life. So that was the help me to,
Yeah.
like, even if I didn't think that my life was worth it, but I wanted to see what he was going to do.
Yeah. No,
you
that's
know
that's huge. It's huge. You got to find that thing that puts you, in another headspace. Yeah.
yeah
It's very
yeah
helpful.
so just the thought. So what is the prevalence? Like, do they have numbers on that?
There are like more than 50% of individuals with suicide thoughts do not receive mental health services. It's very prevalent in the US. Suicidal ideation in adults is about 4%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about all the people in the United States, that can be considerable. And that's just the people we know about.
Right.
I know historically people of color won't report these kinds of things. So I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have these thoughts and that come into mind. And just like you said, I mean, sometimes people will just blow it off as, you know what, I'm not thinking about that. Or if they are a faith-based person, they'll rely on their faith. They'll put it on the, God will take care of it or things like that. And while it's wonderful to have a point of faith, to believe in something bigger than yourself, there are some things that we have got to handle. You just have to handle it. And
Like, I
that's
used to,
one of those
yes,
things.
I used to say it's okay. You can pray and take Prozac. It's not a
Exactly.
either or. It's a and.
It's an
Both
and.
and. Yes,
Exactly.
pray
Exactly.
and Prozac.
Ex-
Pray and
yes.
going to counseling. You know,
Absolutely. And it's
all of that.
there. It is
Yeah,
so there. Most
yeah,
companies offer it and it's confidential. I know people are always skeptical of what their company's going to know about their personal life and all this. You're thinking too much. Like that's so not relevant. It's regardless of what they know or don't know, there are things that safeguard you and your personal life from your company. So take advantage of these offerings that they offer.
right,
Most big companies do offer that ability.
right.
Let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. It says reported rates of suicides probably underestimated the true burden, and suicides may be misclassified as accidents or unintentional because of uncertainty about the descendant's intent, as well as sensitivity about suicide and social stigma. So that's the other thing. A lot of times, suicide is written off as an accident, depending upon how it looks. And we know that, and this is kind of jumping down to some of the numbers too, men are more likely to successfully commit suicide than women because men use a more lethal way. Usually it's firearms or hanging or something that is suffocation, something that is very clear, whereas women might use like poisoning, like overdose or something like that. And so there's less of a chance of with the men, there's less of a chance of someone coming and saving you, whereas with women, the choices they use to commit suicide, there's usually a window of time where they can actually be saved.
Okay. Okay. So, because we are almost out of time.
I know.
So one of the things, okay, so family members, friends, co-workers, how can they, maybe identify some of the signs of suicidal ideation? Because
Well,
this is
yeah, no, it's very important to identify some of the signs. You just want to talk to people. I mean, there's so many times we don't talk to people. Just look at their face, look at their habits, pay attention to, this happy person now suddenly not happy. What's the point of listen to what they say and how they talk? If they say things like, "What's the point of living? No one would miss me if I'm gone." If they're starting to give away their possessions, if they're talking about life insurance and money, details, things like that. I mentioned noticeable changes in behavior, and they may neglect work too. Like all of a sudden, this person that would come to work all put together now suddenly is not put together. Their hygiene is gone. Just very obvious things that we tend to just kind of blow off as they're stressed, they didn't have time, whatever. Don't do that. Really pay attention to the people around you because they actually need you to do that.
yeah. That's really interesting because one of the things my nephew, because he talked to like his brothers and his mom the night before he actually did it, and he said, "Well, they'll just be better off without me. I'm taking myself out the equation. I'm gonna be this age for the rest of my life." That was probably the huge biggest one.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
taking myself out the equation could mean, well, I'm just going to, be out, I'm going to leave or whatever. But
Right,
I'm going to
exactly.
be this age for the
For
rest
the
of my
rest of my
life,
life. Yeah.
22, for the rest of my life.
That's huge. That's
That
huge.
was that was the thing that it was like light bulb. He
Yeah.
let us know. He let us know.
People do say, I mean, if you get used to, and I always train people on how to listen for like even just how people like to receive information. People say, I see what you mean, or I hear what you're saying. That kind of clues you into their learning style. But it's also true in how they're doing as well. So if you listen to what someone says and how they say it, even they might not realize that they're cluing you into something. So really learning how to listen, and it is a skill that you can learn. It's not just hearing, it's learning to listen is a whole other skill. Learning to do that is very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's so true. We are, like I said, running out of time. You already told us about lead, and we can go on Facebook and look up lead. What is just lead or?
It is LEAD, LEAD. Really quick about them. They're at leadnow.org. That is their website. They were founded in 2012 by CEO Kyra Altman, and she founded LEAD in the wake of the Sandy Hook tragedy in 2012. So, in an effort to understand why these kinds of tragedies go down, they created, she and co-founders created LEAD. On Facebook, they're at leadinc.now. That's what it is. It's leadinc.now on Facebook. But their website is leadnow.org. And so people should definitely check them out. The class that sparked this whole conversation that they're offering actually is called Suicide Prevention Month, Taking Action Beyond Social Media. It's presented by Lead Inc. It's on September 21st. So it's coming up, it's virtual and it's free. So it's at 11 a.m. Eastern time and at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So you can go on Facebook, you can go on their website and sign up for and register. Anyone can do that, and you can attend that. And it's really great information.
And it's free
It's
information.
free, you guys. So please.
Virtual is information that all of us, especially if we, if you sit at home by yourself and nobody else is around, okay, but if you have people that you care about, you have coworkers, you have family, you have friends, you need to, because 9 times out of 10, at least one person
At
that
least.
you care about, at least one person that you care about is going through some things and they having suicidal ideation. Period.
Or
So
know someone that is.
you know somebody that is, and you can help prevent them the suicide. You can help.
Absolutely.
And,
So
and, and you
it's a great team building exercise. Your company or organization is usually on board with these mental wellness prevention tactics. So just chalk it up to that if you need to. But yeah, it's a wonderful
all
webinar
my
to
HR
attend.
people, all my HR people
Yes.
need to be present on this, and you can get it back to your companies because this is important for companies. My nephew was he was on the track team. He had a job, he had
Yep.
a family. And let me just say this for all the family members who had somebody commit suicide. I am by no means saying it's your fault, because it was not
At
our fault.
all.
By no means our fault if we did not see the signs, if we could not make it, because this still is their choice.
Absolutely.
It's still their choice. Even if we do everything that we can, it will still be their choice. But
Absolutely.
the thing is, let's do everything we can so when they do make that choice, we know that we've done everything we can. And sometimes we can prevent it, sometimes we can't. But let's try. That is the part. Let's try to prevent it. My family, we got together every Sunday to make sure, because we knew that this quarantine was getting into people's
Yes.
heads.
It really did.
We still get together every Sunday virtually for us to be together. And if you don't come in, you know where we are, so you can have somebody to talk to and all that. So we, in our hearts, we know we did what we could do. He talked to his siblings and his mother the night before. They know that they were there. So he knew it
Wow.
was his choice. Now, should we have called the police? I I don't know.
Don't
I
know.
don't
You can't know.
you
You
can't
can't
know,
always
because
know.
we don't know if it have made it worse or better.
Don't know.
We
Yeah.
don't know.
No.
You see what I'm saying? Because then he may have died by police.
Who exactly?
Not
Exactly.
by police,
Yeah,
because
you
that happens too. So all I'm saying is, the suicide prevention messages and awareness is not about you saving somebody. It's about you listening. It's about you offering help, providing the help they need, providing a sounding board. But it's when it's all said and done, it will still be their choice, and you cannot take responsibility
There's
for
another
that
number I
choice.
want to leave with people as well. We talked about the suicide prevention line, 1-800-273-TALK. There's a crisis text line. You can text Buddy to 741-741 or call 877-382-1609. But it's a text line, which is wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been so awesome. I just want to let everybody know, if they go to your website, they can receive a free copy of 10 practices to achieve the habit of happy. And
Yes,
that's
you can.
thehabitofhappy.com, and they can receive that. We have a lot. We're going to put everything at the end, all the suicide prevention hotline, the text line. I just want everybody out there to, seek out help. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human, that you need help and that you need somebody to talk to. So until next week, be blessed.